Hello, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Comic Book Chronicles. I am your host, Rydercat. You can find me at Rydercat on Twitter. You can find me at News Nerds Need on Twitter. You can find me at CBCaps on Instagram.
Carolina with Columbia down the way.
And the sound effects you've heard come from none other than our man in Brooklyn, from the planet of Brooklyn, no less. One agent _ 70 on Twitter and Instagram.
What's up, everybody?
Right here, big.
Nice. And you can find this here podcast on the Cold Social Podcast Network. That's cspn.us.
Do it today.
Please. You can also find us on your podcast perusal place of choice, whether it be Google Play, Apple iTunes, aka Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the Cold Social Podcast Network's SoundCloud page.
Make sure to hit like and subscribe and all that other good stuff. 5-star reviews.
All of that. All of that. You could also catch us every Thursday night, 9:30-ish p.m. We record live like we're doing right now. If you're doing so, which if you're listening to this later, hey, that's not doing you any good. Twitch.tv/Comic Book Chronicles and the YouTube channel of The Click Nation. That's youtube.com/The Click Nation. That's
make sure to hit like. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, sorry. That's KLIQNATION.
Make sure to hit like and subscribe, and of course, leave us all the good reviews and comments.
Sorry, THEKLIQNATION. But what he said, do it. Tonight we are going to start off, as we have been the last couple of weeks, doing a recap of of Moon Knight, which we got a new episode of, which is episode 3 on Disney Plus.
Right, so we are now officially halfway through this Moon Knight series, and this episode kind of leaves us in a weird space.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm starting to think that, knowing exactly how long this series is, I think that the halfway point isn't necessarily where we're going to get a lot of movement in the story.
Nah.
I think 3/4 is closer to the right mark. So probably near the end of the 4th episode.
Oh, I would go so far as to say the 5th episode. Like the penultimate episode is probably gonna be the one that's just gonna wrap up and answer a whole bunch of stuff. Or start you anyway, and before it gets.
Well, in terms of movement, though, that's really what I was getting at. Like kind of getting the story moving forward.
I got you.
I think there's some here, and we'll get to it. But I feel like, the halfway point isn't necessarily going to be where the story turns. I think that's excuse me. In comic book storytelling, at least, say it's a 6-issue limited series, we're kind of trained to think that issue number 3 is going to be where something dramatic happens to change the direction of the story. And in a sense, there is something in this episode that happens to potentially change how we view the hero, the hero character in this, Moon Knight.
Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna let you take the lead on this one. But all I'm going to say is that the name of the episode is called The Friendly Type.
All righty. So we're following up on, we're pretty much following up exactly where we left off, where at the end of the last episode, Harrow now has that the golden scarab, which essentially acts as a compass that leads to not Amit's tomb, but Amit's Ushabti, right? And I definitely needed this article, this recap over at Marvel.com to realize what that was, because I think I saw it on the screen in closed captioning and just let it fly past without looking it up.
Right.
So at this point, Marc has found himself headed off to Egypt, where we're told that he's in Cairo and that he is searching for a way to find out where Harrow is. The episode opens with Layla meeting up with a friend who is apparently very familiar with her family. And this friend is a source of, let's just say, illicit documents, illegal documents, forgeries. That's the best way to put them. And so she basically puts together a new Egyptian passport for Layla. And at the end of the day, they have a conversation about what, where Layla's life is going, and what her now estranged husband is doing running around in Cairo. We move on to Arthur Harrow, and he is using the golden scarab, to find Amit's tomb, the Ashrapti, in the desert. Sorry for butchering that. I scrolled past where that was actually spelled out. There is a character who I did not know his name was Bobby, but another character warns Harrow that Marc Spector has been spotted in Cairo and that he's tracking them. Harrow is not worried, and we flash back to Marc Spector, who is looking for leads using a little bit of detective work. If they're looking to dig in Cairo, they're going to need a crew. It's not going to be one person. This part was very Indiana Jones to me. Yeah. I don't know if you got that feeling.
Oh, totally.
Running around Cairo looking for clues as to where the Nazis, Harrow, ran off to.
Yeah, in fact, one of the Easter egg videos that I watched pretty much broke down. They had a side-by-side comparison of the parts of Indiana Jones in this.
Okay.
Yeah. And also, the person that warned Harrow was that one of those detectives. It was basically those two detectives.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I see. Okay. I guess we were supposed to recognize them, but I didn't recognize it right away.
Right.
So Marc gets a lead on Harrow's group, but this lead is unfortunately stabbed to death by Harrow's followers, and you're able to see that they're Harrow's followers because they have the Amit sigil on their wrists. Marc Spector takes them on without putting on the Moon Knight armor, and at this point, they're he's fighting them with basically hand to hand with the bad guys using blades, and Mark's able to disarm one of them and get a blade, but in the midst of fighting, he sees a reflection of Stephen Grant in the mirror, in the reflection that is on the knife, and Stephen is saying, don't hurt them. And I'm like, what is wrong with you? Go away, alter personality. You're not going to live if you don't let this guy do his thing.
He found that out later. Exactly.
So ultimately, Marc blacks out and reawakens in a taxi cab, and learns that he told the driver to go to the airport. And when he jumps out, and when they pull up to a stop, he sees the guys that he was fighting, and they're like, "Yo, man, we don't want that smoke. They're backing away. They're trying to run." And Marc jumps out and chases after them. And ultimately, he's following them, and Marc blacks out while he's following them, and he reawakens in a deserted part of the town of Cairo, of the city of Cairo, and he's basically stabbing one of the supposed bad guys. So now you've got 3 dead Amit followers, and Marc does not know what just happened. Marc blames Steven for the whole thing, but Steven's like, man, I didn't do anything. Mm-hmm. And they actually say, I think he says out loud, blame that stupid pigeon. And I'm like, really? That's what we're going to call Khonshu?
Yeah. I'll say real quick that I'm not, so I know there are people that saying that was probably Khonshu that was doing most of that stuff. And I'm kind of wondering, that's supposed to be Jake Lockley coming in?
Yeah.
Coming into the fold?
Yeah, that's gotta be one of the other, I forget how many identities Marc Spector, the Moon Knight has.
Well, technically, I guess if you count Mr. Knight 4, but I think it's only been like 3.
My understanding is that it was 3 pre-Mr. Knight. Right. So, right. I'm gonna work under the presumption that it is in fact the reveal or the tease of Jake Lockley.
Well, I guess if you count Mark as the main the main personality, then the other two then are the aspects. Yeah, sure.
Right.
Gotcha.
Right. So, we transition to Khonshu realizing that, hey, we're gonna need some help here. So he basically works on getting the attention of the other members of the Ennead to basically give them a hand and stop Harrow from raising Amit. And what Khonshu does is use his power with a little bit of Mark Spector's help to trigger a sudden eclipse over all of Cairo. And when he does that, there's a signal that basically that a bunch of the avatars of all the Egyptian gods are being gathered. And Khonshu gives Mark a warning that at the last meeting with the gods, he was banished. So Mark has to make a case against Harrow that must be indisputable. This is going to come up later. So a tunnel leads into the Chamber of the Gods, and Mark sees that he is going into a big chamber, and Steven, in a reflection, says that they're apparently within the Great Pyramids of Giza. So, that was a nice little shout out to actual, Egyptian geography here. Mark immediately meets Yatzil, the avatar of Hathor, who comments that Khonshu's theatrics are unparalleled. I'm like, yeah, that's right. Like literally pulling a lunar eclipse out right in the middle of the day. There are other avatars there. Surprisingly, only a few of them are actually either Egyptian and or African. So that was something that I noticed.
Mm-hmm.
So in attendance are Horus, Isis, as opposed to saying Isis. I wonder if Isis is actually the correct pronunciation.
So I went and looked that up, and pronunciations I've seen pretty much still say Isis.
That's what I thought. I'm like, Chuck D wouldn't have told us wrong.
Right, and I was like, that was an interesting choice for. I mean, and maybe that was something with that character or something.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, yeah, because I thought about that too. And I was like, that's kind of weird that you would put the different emphasis on that. But I guess there's probably a reason for it.
Yeah. So as I said, in attendance are Horus, Isis, Tefnut, Osiris, and Hathor, and they're going to hear what Khonshu has to say. They also say that they're going to imprison him in stone the next time he puts on a garish display in the night sky. Yeah. So Khonshu fires back and says that he was initially banished before because he refused to abandon humanity like the rest of them. He's very much like Prometheus. Khonshu warns that they'll lose this realm if they don't take action. So Khonshu uses Marc Spector to plead his case, and he doesn't take it from the lawyer on the panel, folks. He does not make a very good case. No, it's a terrible case. I'm like, what the heck is this?
Even from the not lawyer on this panel, yeah, he did not show himself quite well at all.
It was bad. I'm like, what kind of opening statement? What kind of, laying out the facts? That's just bad. It was really bad.
Yeah. But the way they had him Isaac talking during that whole thing was kind of funny though. They just had him projected the voice.
Exactly. So the Ennead basically brings Arthur Harrow to the Chamber of the Gods, and at this point, Arthur Harrow gaslights the entire group of the Ennead. There is no other way to put it. He's basically saying, you know what? This guy's a liar, and he's not right in the head. And I'm like, wow, really?
Played him.
Wow. Marc Spector / Stephen Grant basically comes out and says, so what if there's something wrong with me? That doesn't change what he does, But of course, the Ennead don't take that for what it really is.
Mm-hmm.
Horace's avatar actually asks Marc Spector if he's unwell. So what can you do?
Right.
You know? But that whole part where he says, well, what if I am unwell? It doesn't mean that Harrow's not dangerous.
Right. Like just because this.
So without investigating, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. I'm just saying, just because this is this, that doesn't mean something's still not wrong.
Right. So without investigating any further, right? Without gathering any evidence, just based on this dude's, I didn't do it. This guy's crazy. With that being his only defense, the Ennead are like, yeah, well, you know what? We believe you. Mm-hmm. So at this point, Yatzil, the avatar of Yatzil, what is they let Harrow go, but we'll see him soon. Yatzil tells Marc that there's another way to prove the case, and she tells Marc to find someone named Senfu, who was tasked with recording the location of the tomb, and he's told to find Senfu's sarcophagus, and you'll find Amit's tomb. And the information he gets is that the sarcophagus was stolen and sold on the black market. On the search for Senfu's sarcophagus, Marc Spector finds himself in a crowded bazaar, and he's asking, just randos for information. And Layla comes up behind him and says that no one's going to talk to Marc because he's not Egyptian. And Layla says, "I'm going to help you, regardless of the situation that we've all found ourselves in." Layla and Marc then take a boat to the home of an Anton Mogart, who is a character. I'm sorry?
Gambit. The dude looks like Gambit. I don't care what you say. And that's I know that's the dude that died. I think we talked about it. Well, I'm sorry to cut you off, but
yeah, I was about to say, like that interruption was unwarranted. I'm like, who's Gambit?
No, because
like, what are you talking about?
Wait, you didn't get that sense that he looked like Gambit?
No. What's this dude's name?
Anton Mogart, but his name is Gaspard Uriel. I think he didn't play Gambit at all, but I think when he died a few months ago, because they talked about that before Moon Knight started, that he had died after that they had died during a skiing accident, and I know we talked about it on the show.
Yeah, we did mention it. We definitely mentioned it. I just didn't see him as, you know what it is because of the way he was made to look in Moon Knight. He didn't strike me as Gambit. I think he looks like Gambit in like some of his regular photos.
Right.
With the longer hair, so that's why I was just like, "What are you talking about, Gambit?" Yeah, okay, now I remember.
He straight up looks like he straight up looked like Gambit to me. But anyway, sorry.
Gotcha.
Anton Mogart is, and apparently this is a deep cut from the comics Midnight Man or something.
Yeah, I mean this series is full of the deepest cuts.
Yeah,
and at this point, they're looking to speak to Anton Mogart because he's the one that has obtained the sarcophagus. When they get to Mogart's mansion, Layla sees someone that she recognized, and apparently Layla had some dealings in Madripoor with Mogart and Beck, and there's a lot for them to catch up on. So this is now the second reference to Madripoor in the MCU, the first one coming in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Mm-hmm. So that locale is sure to pop up in the immediate future of the MCU. So the cover story that Marc Spector has in this episode is that he is playing Layla's husband, Rufino Estrada, which is probably a nod to Oscar Isaac's Spanish roots. And at this point, they're able to approach the sarcophagus, and Layla asks Marc to let Steven take control because Steven will be able to understand what they're looking at. So, but Steven eventually is allowed to take control when Mark can't figure out what to do with the sarcophagus. And so Steven guides Mark to fold some of the what's called the cartonnage, the cloth layerings on top of the sarcophagus. And so by folding them, he's able to basically reconstruct a star chart. At this point, though, they see that the guards see that Mark / Steven is messing with the sarcophagus, and they're ready to take them down. So at this point, a brawl may ensue, but then a third party comes, and guess who? None other than Arthur Harrow. So, of course, Arthur Harrow also knows that this is a way to I'm not sure how we get to this part. I was like, what is this guy doing here? He has the compass. He's got the golden snitch.
Right.
I was kind of confused by
that. But I believe he had people following them just to see what they were up to.
Right. But what was he doing there? He should be digging. I guess there's just taking time from the dig, right?
Well, I mean, you basically covering bases, I guess. That's my assumption. Like you want to make sure that he's, nobody that they're not gonna mess with him.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the way I see it is that once they have the actual location, thanks to the golden snitch scarab, he can trade. What he does here is say that, well, he's basically looking to cut off any other sources that might provide information to the location of Amit's tomb. Right. And so that's what he's doing here. He can give, now that he's got the location of the tomb, he can give the scarab to Mogart and take the sarcophagus and, take that additional source of information away. I don't know if the scarab will continue to go back to Amit's tomb now that it's revealed the tomb to Harrow. That's unknown. But at this point, there's some deeper stuff in here that we're not going to talk about. Some spoilery stuff here, but basically Harrow is dealing with Mogart, but then ultimately a fight breaks out as Harrow demonstrates his power with his cane, and destroys the sarcophagus. Luckily for Moon Knight, the cartonnage is still intact, and they're able to retrieve that. But Moon Knight has to robe up, as it were. First, he suits up in the Mr. Knight persona, but then he has to take on the actual full Moon Knight garb and take on a bunch of these spear-carrying. I heard it referred to as fencing, like a form of fencing. They're just a bunch of dudes on horses and spears.
Well, yeah, so, and actually he was actually in the Moon Knight costume first before Steven took over like a dunce, and then the spears happened. He was like, "All right, take over." Right.
It's like, oh, I can't handle this, So, all right. Yeah, no, there's a lot to this part of the episode. That's why this particular part of the recap is kind of dense. So I'm kind of trying to skip over anything that's like too deep and too spoilery.
Yeah, basically, the big fight scene happened.
All right. Yeah, Roddy Cat's enjoying me having to filter through this.
Yes.
Yeah, he's chuckling. I'll get him back at some point.
Hey, look, I did it last week, so.
Yeah, this one is dense. Let's see here. Okay, so Marc and Layla eventually get away in a stolen car, and Layla and Marc are trying to put together the pieces of the cartonnage, and they're getting frustrated. And again, Layla says they need Steven, and Steven eventually is given control of the body, and he figures out what they need. And what he needs is um, a way to figure out what the stars looked like back when the map was originally drafted, and that was several thousand years in the past. And so Khonshu basically appears himself and says he remembers that night, and he turns the night sky back to the night so that the positioning of the stars would be the same 2,000 years prior. And uh, at this point, they're able to figure out where the tomb is. Meanwhile, Harrow sees this and figures out that things are still moving, things are afoot, and in the Chamber of the Gods, the Ennead have started imprisoning Khonshu for violating the sky, and basically turning him into stone. Layla is has locked the coordinates, and Khonshu's grip on the night sky loosens as he's being pulled into that stone, into a stone form in the Chamber of the Gods, and at this point, we find that Arthur Harrow has been speaking with the avatar of Osiris, who confirms that Harrow's statements on Khonshu were correct, and he's been imprisoned as a result. And let's see. All right, and he's basically, and Harrow basically ends the episode with a statement, basically speaking to Khonshu, in absentia, saying that he confesses that he enjoyed dealing out pain on Khonshu's behalf, and he says that he's thankful to Khonshu for breaking Harrow's spirit because he can now achieve what Khonshu could not. So that's a tease for the next episode. So sorry for the kind of broken synopsis of this, because there is definitely a lot more to this episode when you're reading a blow by blow synopsis as opposed to watching it, because there's a lot more to it.
Right. So, a couple of things. One, missed opportunity, because as Agent 70 will probably know, Mark Spector used to have a big stone statue of Khonshu in his possession that I was kind of almost hoping they were going to use for that stone thing, but I know why they wouldn't go to that particular one. The one that they used to have in the comics, the thing that they used to have of Khonshu.
I mean, there have been different, from what I recall in the comics, from what I remember, he either had it in his apartment, in his home base, or like he would find one in like a museum.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I guess it's just a different form.
Right, it is. But I was like,
well, like you said, we're used to seeing it in like kind of a sarcophagus type form, like standing up.
Right, and I was kind of hoping, I was like, oh, are we going to see that that as a callback? No, we did not. Two, Osiris's avatar, his name is Salim, which is backwards for Miles, which means Miles Morales in the MCU. We got it. Not really, but I just want.
Yeah, not so much. Not so much on.
I know there's people with rampant speculation, but I just thought I'd throw that one out there because Salim does actually get mentioned in the comic book we're going to talk about later on. Anyway, I think that's about it. I mean, it was an alright episode. I can't remember anything else. Anything. The whole Khonshu. Oh well, yeah. I guess the part where Khonshu tells Steven is like, "Hey, tell Marc to come free me." That part. So I guess we're going to also get that, which is, as I recall, a thing from the comics, because it's not the first time Marc has been without Khonshu's aid, and I guess they even foretold it early in the episode, because there was a line from Khonshu was like, see how well you do without my healing robes, or whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I suspect that probably won't be that long without it, because then I don't know, He's just a dude in a suit that I guess he can't summon at this point. Now that I think about it. So anyway, but yeah,
Right. I mean that what I was gonna say is hopefully that doesn't mean that we're gonna actually be without the Moon Knight hero for more than an episode.
Yeah, no, I doubt it. We'll probably have him back by the end of the next episode.
Yeah, I would hope so because that's a lot of time to not see the actual hero of the story.
Right. I mean, they do that. You've seen comic book stories where they've done that. It's like, yeah, to see heroes without the suit or something, or without his powers or whatever the case may be, or without their powers or whatever for some length of time. And since we only got 6 episodes, they can't stretch that out too terribly long because they got to keep pushing.
I hope.
Yeah.
That's
so. But like that, it was a good episode. It gave a good bit of exposition. We'll see where the next episode takes us next week. I guess. And at the end of the episode, there was a tribute to the Gaspar Uriel, because like you said already, he had passed away a couple of months ago.
Yeah, after filming his part. So
right. So, which is also weird because like the character he played in this episode also died. So, spoiler alert. Or we assume that the case anyway. But regardless, but yeah, that's that. Like I said, we got another episode next week. Yeah, we're gonna push right on to the comics unless you got something else you're in past.
Nope.
Cool. We'll move on to comics with what did we say? Black Panther number 5. As I try to pull up as I pull up the cover.
All right. Black Panther number 5 is written by John Ridley with art by Juan Cabal and Stefano Landini. Colors are by Matt Miller and letters by VC's Joe Sabino. So this issue it seems to be it's not a finale to this opening arc, right? But what it does do is it puts together it lays out what I think is going to be this opening story better than the opening first 4 issues kind of did, although there was definitely a tease to the events of this story in the first 4 issues, namely that this sleeper cell program that T'Challa had put together was going to come back and bite him at some point. Like the fact that he had it operating while and had not revealed it to the burgeoning democracy that is trying to take root in Wakanda was going to come back and bite him. And that's essentially what happens here in the story.
Yeah, and we had talked about this in the news in prior episodes about this happening, or about probably what I guess the crux of this ends up happening here. So it wasn't a surprise that this was coming, but now we get the hows and the whys, or what sparks that. Which, like Agent 70 said, yeah, we kind of got glimpses of in the last 4 issues, excuse me. But now we actually get it in reality.
Right. We get the tease that, this isn't going to play well. This, people aren't going to like hearing about this. And it finally come in all of the stuff that basically led to this information coming to light in the first 4 issues basically comes to a head in the 5th issue. And now we get, mild spoilers here, T'Challa on the outs.
Yeah, which actually is not. I mean, you've seen. I mean, if you've seen The Fugitive or any movie like that, or any movie where the protagonist is wrongly accused or on the run for whatever reason, trying to clear his name or clear whatever. It's one of those.
It's really not the first time they've done this with T'Challa either. Right. It's not. So it's it's kind of what's funny is that I read a few comments on this book after I read it, and some commenters were disappointed that the current run of Black Panther is kind of continuing some of the palace intrigue stuff that was big in the Coates run, and we're not getting much in the way of like superhero-ing or adventure-ing just yet.
Right.
And I wonder if Ridley's going to take too long before he kind of takes a small break from the Wakanda stuff, the Wakanda palace intrigue, and kind of goes and does like a superhero story. That might be another 6 issues, maybe another 4 issues, depending on, how this trade breaks down. Because if this is issue 5, and this is probably going to go 10 to 12 issues, that might be how long this initial story arc lasts. And we may not get like not that there's a traditional superhero Black Panther story, but a more superhero style story.
Right.
We may not get one for a while here.
Yeah, there is that point, and I get that, and so yeah, well, I guess we'll have to. It's a wait and see unless we find out, something in Solicits that.
Yeah, like whether or not they're going to change gears,
right?
Because I kind of felt I felt a little sympathy for that bit of commentary, because the Coates run really was, especially with the Intergalactic Empire, where I kind of fell off reading it too. I was like, God, there's a lot of this palace intrigue stuff, like even on an intergalactic scale,
right?
And and it does tend towards the heavy, like a heavy type of storytelling and remembering character names, when every once in a while you just want a little bit of rock'em sock'em robots action,
right.
just a little.
Oh yeah, totally. No, I totally get that. And yeah, this seems like a retread of, now granted,
right?
You're right. Well, let me phrase that. It's a retread if you read that run. If you're just coming into this new, this is brand new to you. So that's not an excuse. That's just a fact. It is not new to us because we read that stuff,
right?
And the commenters therein. So yeah, this does kind of start to seem like a bit of a retread.
Yeah, maybe not a retread, but just more of the same.
Right.
Like it's obviously this is a continuation, right, of where Coates left the book. It's obviously picking up from where Coates left the book, and Wakanda is moving towards being a fledgling democracy, and Ridley picked that ball up and is now running with it, and that's fine.
Right.
But now we're getting even more of kind of the same, Game of Thrones palace intrigue stuff, and it gets a little bit, it's like, while it's the logical continuation, it's still more of the same type of story in the same vein. And I felt that bit of criticism saying that, well, you know what, it'd be nice to get like a superhero story in here.
Yeah, totally get that. So, but yeah, that's Black Panther number 5. We'll see where it goes. Next book on the agenda is Miles Morales Miles Morales Spider-Man number 37.
So this book is written by Saladin Ahmed, with art by Christopher Allen, colors by David Curiel, and letters by VC's Corey Pettit. So if you have not been keeping up with Miles's story in his own solo title, right now it's a team up book. It's Miles and
Shift.
Glurp. I mean Shift. I mean, he's Glurp for me, to me. So, because that's all he says is Glurp.
Right.
So it's not even, I am Groot. It's just Glurp. So.
Oh gosh, I hope that's not the reason why they had him do that.
What?
That they're going for that Groot thing with Shift.
Oh, I don't know.
Now that you say that,
no, it's something worth asking Saladin Ahmed when you see him next, right? Hopefully you'll see him at a con before I do. I probably won't see him at anything before New York Comic Con if he's able to come.
Yeah, I don't know. That's not in the cards at this point, but we'll see. But yeah,
right. So basically, this issue is. Let me backtrack just a little bit. So Miles is on a multi-interdimensional quest to find out what happened to his version of Uncle Aaron, the the second 616 Prowler. Not the first, that's not Hobie,
Right.
but it's the second one. And he's on a quest to find out what happened. And he runs into his counterpart from the Ultimates Earth, which is Ultimatum. And I will let Roddy Cat pick it up from there because there's some revelations while they're running around in the in between, as it were.
Right. Well, so technically that Miles is from the actually from the 616, whereas our Miles is from the Ultimate Universe. But I get what you're saying, yeah, because I think he did kind of shift over for that whole ultimatum thing is weird to me. I don't know. Either way, so yeah, so they Shift and Miles and Ultimatum get into a fight, but because Ultimatum's like, yeah, I've been here for a while and I've seen some things and this and that and the other, and and your uncle kind of went into this other dimensional hole, and it's asking for a Miles Morales, but not me, so I didn't go in there, and this and that and other, which basically almost literally getting pushed by an ultimatum into that said hole, and while they're in that going through that dimensional hole, they see pretty much shades of actually what we talked about last week in the news. Or actually in the last couple of weeks, not of them, because there's been a couple of news stories about it. But that being said, we get shades of a different history than what Miles knows about. That sees a couple of different things happening, and speaking of Salim, kind of shows up during these pages. And which leads us at the end of this issue going into this new arc, which is going to see Salim basically as the big bad guy and the guy at the top of this empire. That Miles is in this dimension that Miles is going to go into. And apparently something with Miles' little sister is involved that we're also going to see. But we'll get to that when we get to that, because even though we already talked about it in the news last week. So yeah, so this pretty much is the kickoff of that whole thing. And we'll get to that next issue.
I mean, it's Miles and Glurp. I mean, Shift. In his version of a trip down Spider-Verse lane.
Yeah, pretty much. Or I guess another what if, which now that I think about it, I didn't read that what if from this week, but
and you know what, and it's funny that I'm glad that you refreshed my memory, because I did forget that the Ultimatum Miles was the Miles that was in the 616 before Secret Wars,
right?
And it does stand to reason that Miles would be on his own Spider-Verse type quest, given his origin in the Ultimate Universe and his shifting over, and having that having that by the character's very nature being of another universe, being part of the greater multiverse. So it makes sense that he would be on this kind of journey, as it were.
Right.
Much more so than Peter.
Yeah. Right. But as we know, Peter has gone on this trip, and Miles at this point has gone on this trip a couple of different times.
Right. In stories that Roddy Cat has not yet read.
Yeah, that's true. I still haven't finished Spider-Verse, or that other one. Yeah. So you're right. I get to him. He'll be there. At either rate, we are in the here and now, and this is where Miles is, and where he's going forward. So we'll see how that plays out in forthcoming issues, even though we already know some stuff. At this point, unless you got something else to say about it, we can go to Rapid.
No, we're going to rapid fire because you have a bunch of books to get through.
Mm-hmm.
And I only have a few, so I will lead off once we hear from Blaine, aka Jesse the Body Ventura.
I ain't got time to breathe.
All right, rapid fire from me. First up is Green Lantern number 12. It's written by Jeffrey Thorne with art by Tom Rainey and Marco Santucci, colors by Mike Atiyeh, and letters by Rob Lee. So this is the grand finale to the opening story arc by Jeffrey Thorne, and it does set things on a path forward while putting some things back in a different way from how he found them. He does, in fact, restore some things that were lost over the course of these first 12 issues. In addition, he sends John Stewart on a path up until this point was something that wasn't familiar, right? This is definitely an unfamiliar path for John Stewart to go down, and he's led down this path by none other than Jack Kirby, aka the representation and manifestation of the source power behind the source wall. And if you're looking at this issue, it's a mild spoiler, but it's not that big a deal, knowing that the art team here decided to depict the power behind the source wall, the actual source power, as being Jack Kirby. So this was an interesting issue. As I said, it definitely sets up a different status quo and restores some things while still keeping other aspects of what Jeffrey Thorne changed in the first 12 issues moving forward.
Quick question.
Next up,
quick question.
Yeah.
Did we know that that whole Jack Kirby thing was just kind of cute, but also kind of I'm not give respect, but did we know that that's who that was before this, or this is where they introduced that?
This is where they introduced it.
Okay. I didn't know.
It's just meant to be it's meant to bear some similarities. It's not the first time that we've seen Jack Kirby being given, the image of Jack Kirby representing the like a greater spiritual force. In the Fantastic Four, they had Jack Kirby as the face of God.
Right. Oh yeah, true. But I don't know, the source wall and this Jack Corsi and like the source, and like, yeah, we get it. All right.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Exactly. All right. Next up is Eternals number 11. It's written by Kieron Gillen with art by Guiu Villanova, and colors by Matthew Wilson and letters by VC's Clayton Cowell. So Judgment Day is coming, and this is the first salvo between the Eternals and the Avengers. We've yet to see how the X-Men are going to play into this, but ultimately in this issue, we're getting there's more of a description. There's more meat added to the story when it comes to what the Eternals' beef with the Avengers is. It's been teased, but ultimately this issue really shows, what problem the Eternals might have with the Avengers, because basically they're used, the Eternals are on a delay mission, while one of the Eternals that plays a central role in the movie is tasked with getting information. And this part of the story revolves around the fact that the Avengers currently use a dead Eternal as their current base. So this is, it's an interesting read. I don't know if Roddy Cat's ever going to take a look at this, maybe as a way to catch up on what's going on before this whole Judgment Day story.
Yeah, I will.
So it's okay. It's nothing. They do have to bring in Thanos because he is, of course, an Eternal, just of a different strain. But he's there. It's not a bad read. I give Kieron Gillen credit for kind of ramping things up these past issues with the action, because a lot of the stuff that was very Thanos centric was tough to read, because he's setting up a reason for Thanos to be there. So Last but not least is X-Men number 10. It's written by Jerry Duggan with art by Javier Pina, colors by Marte Gracia, and letters by VC's Clayton Cowell. So this issue is, I don't want to say filler because it was interesting, but at the end of the day, it's the reappearance of a longtime X-Men villain who turns out to not be so villainous, but is in fact a test subject who has become a test subject of the Orcus scientists. And if you're not familiar with Orcus, that is a group of mostly human scientists who are basically taking up arms and research against the reinvigorated mutant race, especially as the result of the founding of Krakoa. So Orcus has kept this particular X-Men villain, and the X-Men, by pure accident, are able to do very X-Men heroic rescue things. And that is, it definitely plays into the greater story around Orcus and setting up Orcus as we head towards that. But then when we get to the ending of this issue, we're going into space yet again, and it's it's definitely kind of a weird turn of events at the end of the issue. There's a guest appearance by a Guardian of the Galaxy, as it were, and ultimately we're left to figure out how this is all going to tie together. It's a little bit all over the place, but X-Men right now is a little bit all over the place. That's one of the weaker sides of this story, of this greater story, because now that they're on Arakko, the now colonized and reinvigorated Mars, it really does put the X-Men all over the place. There's just a lot of things going on and a lot of moving pieces to keep track of. So it's hard to really know. It's hard to keep track of what's going on in the X-Men books right now. And that's it for me.
Yeah, that's true. Hopefully they're going to reshape that at some point, or at least put everything. I guess after the next gala, who knows what's going to happen, and probably after they revote the X-Men. But anyway, for me, Captain Carter number 2 of 5. Think. Creative team is writer Jamie McElvey, art by Marika Cresta, color artist Eric Arciniega, letters by VC's Clayton Cowles. So Hydra's back in full force, and apparently Captain Carter and Betsy Braddock have their hands full with not only them, but having to deal with the government's handling of missions they take care of, and Betsy not Betsy, excuse me, Peggy being out of time, not knowing how the current government fully works because she's only been told what she's told, but she kind of gets filled in by her neighbors in the course of this, and goes to try to change things, which the certain government official that she's dealing with is not liking. And is pretty much set to shut Peggy and Betsy Braddock up in this universe. So that's pretty much that. So this is, I don't know. For some strange reason, I was expecting it to kind of go full. There is actually a what if moment. I was expecting this kind of go full what if episode 1, because there is there's no Black Widow, but I guess that's what Betsy Braddock is here for in that respect. But there is a fight with a certain leaper that doesn't end the same way that it did in that What If episode, or either one, or in the movies either. So, which was kind of amusing. I kind of likened it to Indiana Jones, but it's only slightly. So that was kind of funny. Next up, Batman 89, number 5 of 6. Shoot, I knew that was going to happen. while I try to shoop a doop. There we go. Written by Sam Hamm, art by Joe Quinones, colors by Leonardo Ito, and letters by Clayton Cowles. So yeah, we got one more issue left of this here miniseries. I'm not sure what they were trying to do with this, honestly. I mean, obviously it's a story set in after the events of Batman '89. It is Keaton's Batman in the role. This is actually after Batman Returns, I believe, whichever one was the second one, because Catwoman's still around, and so then there's a new Robin with this dude that's not Duke. That's not Duke. But I think they've all but not called him Robin in this particular case. And they're going after Two-Face, who is Harvey Dent, who is played by Billy D. Williams, as he probably would have been if the movies kind of kept going with the Batman '89 instead of going with Tommy Lee Jones. So, but basically, there's a couple of things that happened in this is that, well, and also in this world, apparently Barbara Gordon was dating Harvey Dent as opposed to whoever it was in the animated series. So she's still trying to bring Two-Face, who's trying to kind of out and about, who hatches a plan to rob the police. Barbara tries to take him in. That doesn't work out. And the commissioner, Gordon, kind of takes one for the team. In a way at the end of this. Not sure if it's fatal, but it seemed like it might be, but I guess we'll find out in the next issue. Next up, I Am Batman, number 8. Written by, oops. Oh, boy, Agent 7, I gotta send you something, because something I'm so sure you will appreciate was in the covers this week. But yeah, I Am Batman number 8, written by John Ridley, art by Kristen Deuce, colors by Rex Locus, letters by ALW's Troy Terry. So, Jace's Batman has been chasing this one killer, and he meets him in this episode, and it doesn't go well for Jace at all. In fact, he ends up retreating because of the fact that dude gets the better of him early and often, which kind of leaves Jace a little bit shook. So he retreats and kind of regroups. And meanwhile, the killer kind of goes after, speaking of the commissioner, goes after the commissioner of New York, and that that kind of sparks off a whole nother thing that Jace is gonna have to deal with going forward. And as I say in my notes, that commissioner kind of had it going, because he is not Commissioner Gordon, let's just say. But also, it probably, there are some things that you've seen in movie theaters about certain aspects and in real life about the police and what they think about certain things and how they handle certain things that kind of come out in this particular issue because of this. And it's like, yeah, okay, really, I see what you're doing here. So, but yeah, that's going to end up being a problem for Jace going forward. Next up, Wonder Woman 786, which is part 5 of Trial of the Amazons. Written by Michael W. Conrad and Becky Cloonan, art by Rossi Campi and Becky Cloonan, colors by Marissa Louise, and letters by Pat Brousseau. So, like I said, it's part 5 of Trial of the Amazons, and the contest begins in earnest, but not necessarily in the way that anybody expected, because there is someone behind the scenes that's kind of doing some things, and it has something to do with Doom's Doorway, as far as I know. But all of the champions involved end up having to work together to get out of their predicament, and one is might have been left behind. So I don't know if this is if this is it for that particular person, or or just whatever's gonna happen next. May have something to do with the namesake of this book. Let's just say. But yeah, that still continues to be a thing that's going on. Still kind of interesting, also. Star Wars number 22. Ding. These covers are going to give me nothing but heck. Star Wars number 22, written by Charles Soule, art by Ramon Rosanas, colors by Rochelle Rosenberg, and letters by BC's Clayton Cowles. So basically, there's a meeting between Kira and Leia on the Alliance's flagship. Kira comes bearing gifts. Obviously, Leia doesn't really trust her, but kind of got his takes with get. On the other side of this, there's a whole rescue mission of Shara Bey, who's in Imperial custody, that Leia didn't know about until this particular issue. And then there's apparently a danger room mission that Chewie, not danger room mission, but a danger room that Chewie trains in to try to go and get Han. So there's a whole lot happened in this issue. Like I didn't even know if they even had that kind of technology. But so while what's on the cover does happen, but doesn't necessarily happen like that. But it was a cool scene to watch Chewie just kind of let loose. Yeah. Through the thing he went through. Let's see. Star Wars Darth Vader number 22. And did I not get that? I guess I did not. Oh well. Let's see. Greg Park writer, art by Rafaela Ayenko. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Colors by Alex Sinclair and letters by BC's Joe Caramagna. For some strange reason, Vader is taken over, or maybe taking over Crimson Dawn for some reason, but he's trying to persuade Sabe, who's Padme's handmaiden, and Ochi, by taking them to this planet where she tried to trap him at one point, and they come to some sort of an understanding, let's say. And it kind of goes forth from there. I'm not entirely sure where this part is going. But there was a lot of things that happened in the course of this issue. With the various parts of Vader's teams and Crimson Dawn and the Empire and whatnot. So yeah, I will just leave that for folks to find out or to go through. But it's still that Crimson Reign storyline that I'm still not the part of which I'm still not entirely sure about. Next up, G.I. Joe, Real American Hero 40th anniversary special. I believe Avengers 70 took a peek at this as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really familiar with the story. So, and this is not actually the first time that they've done like a retelling of it,
right?
With different art.
Right. So, and basically, yeah, so it is the 40th anniversary special. It's written by Larry Hama and a bunch of art by different people. Basically, it's another retelling of Silent Interlude with different art and different artists doing different pages. They also reprinted the original story in here also. Like, if you haven't read Silent Interlude, it's still a great issue. Even when it's been reissued the number of times that it has. So if you haven't, or if you have and you kind of want to see it with new art, new layout, then hey, here you go. I don't know why Agent 70's picture is getting smaller and smaller. It's like he took some pen particles, but we'll get that straightened out in a second.
Yeah, that's weird. I wanted to mention that G.I. Joe Real American Hero number 21, which is the original numbering of the Silent Interlude story, is the first appearance of Storm Shadow.
Yes.
First comic book appearance of Storm Shadow. So that's
correct.
One reason why the issue is, has some value on the back issue, in the back issue market. And, as well as it just being one of the more famous stories, more famous GI Joe stories, more famous Snake Eye stories, and one of the first, if not the first, comic book that had no dialogue in it.
Right. Yeah, it was a great issue when it came out. I feel like I had it. I'm pretty sure most people who were collecting G.I. Joe at the time did have a copy of this issue.
I didn't get it when it first came out. I got it as a back issue,
Mhm.
and when it was very cheap. But a long time ago when it was not very popular to be looking for anything GI Joe in the back issue bins, and I did get Larry Hama to sign it for me. So I'm
Nice.
very fortunate and blessed in that regard.
Nice. But like I said, if you have any of you curious about it, hey, there you go. It's here. Last but not least, for myself, and I just kind of skimmed through this, so there's not terribly much I can, comfortably say about it. But X-Men 92 House of X C2, I guess. I'm not sure how that's said. So yeah, it's basically X-Men 92's take on the Conroy. Which, as a fan of X-Men the animated series, it's a curiosity at best. And by the way, it's written by Steve Fox, art by Salva Espin, colors by Israel Silva, and letters by VC's Joe Sabino. So, but yeah, like I said, as a curiosity and to see, X-Men 92's take on Cohen Society, or at least them going into it as this book sets up. It's interesting, and yes, it is the like I said, it is the core group from the X-Men 92, the X-Men animated series. So for that respect, it's pretty interesting. Like I said, I need to give it another good read to kind of soak it all in. But like I said, that as a curiosity of that, it's pretty interesting. And that is it for me.
I wanted to mention very quickly,
Sure.
I actually own the 30th anniversary of Silent Interlude, the 30th anniversary edition of the Silent Interlude, published by IDW. That shows you how long IDW has had the G.I. Joe license.
Yeah.
And I'm holding it up right here. I'm just going to turn off my virtual background very quickly.
And I'm going to turn off my camera so we can get you full screen. There we go.
So this is the cover for the 30th anniversary, right? Obviously, it's been roughly 10 years since this came out, which is unbelievable to me. And this issue, this collection that is, does not have the new retelling, with the new visuals that this 40th anniversary one does. What the 30th anniversary contains, though, is the actual breakdowns of the art.
Mm-hmm.
This actually shows the breakdowns that Larry Hama drew.
I think there's a little bit in the back of the 40th, if I'm not mistaken. There's not a lot, but there's like a couple of pages where there's some sketches and whatnot in it.
Right. This actually has like the full layout of all
Right.
of all pages from the issue.
Right.
So Larry Hama is he's no slouch when it comes to the art.
Right.
Basically, it says breakdowns. He's basically doing like pretty much full pencils, and Steve Leialoha is, does the finishing, does the inking basically on the art for G.I. Joe number 21. So it's a pretty, there's a reason why it's celebrated every 10 years.
Right.
There's a very good reason for it. So yeah, it made me, I stepped away just for a second to hit my trade shelf, one of my trade shelves, and pull this off the shelf. So
indeed. Also shout out to Chad Bowers, who is a local writer. I believe he and I can't remember who the other artist or the other writer was, actually did the original X-Men 92 series from a couple of years back. But the reason why I'm bringing this up now is because he wrote an essay in the back of this 40th anniversary issue of G.I. Joe. So that's cool, but I didn't get a chance to read it all. I just kind of skimmed through it. Either way, we're done here with the books of the week. Now we're going to get to clicks of the week.
Clicks of the week.
And we do have clicks from our absent fellers. What is going on with your picture? That's weird. Anyway, from Dirt, we got Flashpoint Beyond #0. I believe he did say something in our back chatter about this. It says even though BC has portrayed him with these events in the past and looks like they will again with Dark Crisis, he's still a sucker for them in the early stages. He's really hoping Pandora doesn't return.
Oh my gosh.
I believe that's the kind of similar thing we would say about Pariah.
Yeah. Yeah. Goodness gracious.
And from Tim, oh, I forgot to put a couple of that's fine. From Tim is X-Men #10.
All right.
So cool. Yeah. As I do you have yours? Because I don't think I have mine.
I am thinking about what I'm going to choose. I don't have very many issues to choose from. I only read 5 books this week.
Right.
There wasn't that much out this week that piqued my interest, but I will tell everyone that I am leaning towards, believe it or not, Eternals #11 because it did move the story forward. As in addition, I am also thinking about Green Lantern #12 because it did kind of reset things, but also move things forward in, I thought, a very effective way. So, do you need any more time, or are you still thinking?
Yeah, I do need to load just a little bit.
All right. I mean, I can only stall for so much
time. You won't need to.
And what's that?
I said you won't need to.
All right. Well, I can only stall for so much time, so I am going to, I think, bite the bullet and go with surprise, probably the most effective read I had this week. Maybe not my favorite, but the most effective read I had this week was Eternals #11.
Okay. Yeah, I'm definitely going to try to catch up with that so I can get caught up before Judgment Day shenanigans happens. So Eternals #11 for Agent 70, and for myself, I think I don't know. There's I read a good bit, but it was not a whole lot that was like popped out. Sadly, and that's also unusual for me because there's usually something. Like Captain Carter was kind of all right. Batman '89 was what it was. But I think I'm actually going to go with Star Wars #22. Like it was, it was a good read, and they're still kind of into a weird place where it's like I don't know, I know what's going on, but some of it's still kind of weird enough to not like okay, there's some I don't know how long we need to keep going on with this stuff type situation here, but it's good. So that is it for the clicks of the week. We're going to go over into the news section, but first an ad read.
Our first ad read of the night is for Blue Apron's meal delivery service. Blue Apron, fresh ingredients and incredible recipes delivered weekly to your door. Skip the grocery store and make incredible meals at home with Blue Apron, always shipped free right to your home. And now the listeners of the Comic Book Chronicles can get $30 off your first Blue Apron order. To place your first order with $30 off and to help keep our show free for you, go to our network website at cspn.us. That's cspn.us. Then click on the Keep Our Podcast Free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down to the Blue Apron link and sign up for your first order. Blue Apron through cspn.us. Do it today. And now we get into the news.
And we start off with the cinematic news as we do with cinematic news. Stephen Amell open to Arrowverse return in any way, shape, or form, quote unquote, as he says. So I don't know, maybe that heals money is not doing him any good anymore. He just misses it. I don't know. But basically, he's speaking with Den of Geek. The actors looked back on his hit comic book series, which spawned an entire universe of interconnected DC shows. Y'all know the Arrowverse, so we ain't got to get into all of that. He says, quote unquote, what means a great deal to me is we did get to control the ending. He said of Arrow's final episode, which aired over 2 years ago. That happens so rarely. So to have the conversation with Greg Berlanti during the 6th season and to decide that the 7th and then a truncated version of the 8th season would wrap the story is just a blessing because we got to do it the right way. We got to say goodbye to the people in the right way, and that's the way it should end for any superhero without superpowers. He says that the way it should end for any superheroes without powers is in the ground. So basically saying all superheroes that don't have powers should die. That's a weird thing to say. But anyway, but he says that he thinks Oliver just turned into energy, so never say never. And yeah, Green Arrow has died in the comics and comes back. So any crazy thing could have happened. Next up.
The CW reveals the season finale dates for The Flash, Superman and Lois, Naomi, and various other shows on its current slate. According to a release from the CW, Superman and Lois Season 2 will air its finale on June 21st at 8 p.m., followed by The Flash Season 8 on June 29th at 8 p.m. Naomi will have back-to-back episodes to conclude its first season on May 10th at 8 p.m. As for the network's non-Arrowverse shows, All American Season 4 and its new spin-off, All American Homecoming, will conclude on May 23rd, and blah, blah, blah for everything else.
Speaking of the Flash, season 9 could end the show with a shorter episode count. So, and matter of fact, I'll go ahead and take the next one also, just because it's kind of related. So yeah, they're thinking about doing a truncated season for season 9, which is like it might be the final season. If recent reports may or may not bear out that the case. So we'll see if that's actually the case. This is it's like according to the Hollywood Reporter, says that sources say that there's been talks about the upcoming season to be the last one, and could be shorter in count and episode count. Also, on that note, one of the regular cast members of the show is leaving. That is Jesse L. Martin, who is one of the original on the show, who plays Iris's and I guess Barry's dad's in whatever. He's leaving the show to star in an NBC drama plot, but he'll still be. I guess he can still come back to the show every now and then in whatever capacity in this last if this is the last season of the show. But he's no longer going to be a regular on the show as of the end of season 8. So next up.
All right, so I'm glad you took that extra story. Next up, so the restraining order case against the Flash star Ezra Miller has been dropped. I wonder how much money changed hands.
Right?
So, what's that?
I said, right?
Yeah. So, Faux News reports that the Hawaii couple that filed the restraining order against Miller for threatening to kill them asked the judge to dismiss the case. The reasoning is still unclear, and the couple's attorney provided no comment. Moreover, it's unknown if the planned hearing regarding the matter will still take place since the case itself was dismissed. Okay.
Hey, guess what, folks? The Batman is coming to Blu-ray on May 24th, but ahead of that, it's coming to HBO Max, streaming on April 18th, which I believe is a day earlier than it was supposed to.
Right. So as opposed to next Tuesday, it'll be next Monday.
Right. So, hey, guess what? You can buckle in for that 3-hour or whatever that is next week. And I'll finally get to see it because I was not going to the movies for theaters for that. Apparently, according to this article, there's no director's commentary from Matt Reeves, but there are deleted scenes. And of course, the Blu-ray, DVD, digital code type of blase, blase, blase. Next.
All right. So this is a story about last week's episode. So it will be the second episode of Moon Knight. So Moon Knight introduced a fresh persona last week for the character, but apparently some people were not happy about the reveal of Mr. Knight and how that character was essentially used as Stephen Grant's side of the Moon Knight character.
Right.
That's, without completely spoiling what's different about it. That's really
Right.
why I put it that way.
No, that's valid. To which, and I have seen, because I was going to mention this earlier. Yeah, people don't really like Steven, this version of Steven. Yeah, they going out and say he's pretty annoying with or without the suit. Which, yeah, I can see that. I can totally see that. So yeah, so there is that, and obviously I don't know. I kind of wonder if some of these don't really. Some people. Well, I guess some of it is like, yeah, they know the Mr. Knight character, but they don't like it because it's Steven in control, basically the gist of it, and not just the fact that it's Mr. Knight. So, anywho, Disney Plus restores the Defenders sagas Stan Lee and Reggie Cathy tributes following Backlash. So we don't know why they got taken out in the first place. We talked about it last week, but apparently they've been put back in their places. I'm gonna take this next one also, because there's slight relation to things being taken out from there. So yeah, those tributes have been put back into their respective places on the shows they were on. And Disney Plus removes a post-credits Punisher teaser from the Defenders, apparently. I did not know there was one, but hey, I never finished watching the Defenders, so I guess spoilers for me for something I don't care that much about, but I'm still watching at some point. So some Twitter user says that the teaser for the Punisher no longer appears at the end of the Defenders. Apparently, CBR had verified that this has happened in Canadian and American markets. It doesn't seem to be any reason given for it at this point. Okay, next.
Alrighty. America Chavez, co-creator, declines Marvel's insult of an offer for Doctor Strange 2. So writer Joe Casey says he was offered a pittance ahead of his character's big screen debut, and he's speaking out about it in hopes that it could help other creators. So let's see here.
I mean, it's not the first time. I'm sure people have been approached and probably given very little to. As a matter of fact, I know it's not because some of them have spoken out before prior to this. So,
well, I mean, yeah, I mean the most recent example, I think that garnered some press was Ed Brubaker, because Ed Brubaker, while not creating the character of James Buchanan, Bucky Barnes, created the persona of the Winter Soldier that became, a hit not only in the movies but also on Disney Plus. And this is essentially in the same vein where Joe Casey and Nick Dragotta introduced the character in 2011. And as I said earlier, he rejected what he describes as a pittance of an offer ahead of her Multiverse of Madness appearance. He was paid, in fact, for his page rate, but was not paid anything on top of that as a result of the character being transported over into the MCU world. So,
which is sad. I'm not saying that he don't deserve, he or the other co-creator doesn't deserve the money or any other more recognition for it. But yeah, this is, like I said, this is the thing that's happened before now than not. So it's a sad state of affairs on that side of it. Let's see. How Ms. Marvel star Iman Vellani is fangirled her way into the role. I thought this was cute. Sana Amanat revealed that Iman Vellani's obsession with all things Marvel helped her secure the role of Kamala Khan in Disney Plus's upcoming television adaptation starring the superhero. Short story is, sounds like Miss Vellani is as much of a fangirl as Kamala actually is, and that's what sealed the deal. That's what basically sealed the deal, because in an interview with Empire, Amanat said that she felt that Vellani was a perfect fit for Kamala as soon as she saw how much Marvel fangirl the actor was during the Zoom audition. She showed every corner of her room, and it was covered with Avengers. And she was like, "Oh wait, I'm not done." Open up a closet and there's more Marvel stuff. So yeah, like I said, sounds like she had some real fangirl stuff going on there, which sealed the deal. Next up, outside of her personality also, but yeah, next up.
So Ryan Coogler has been added as an executive producer to the Disney Plus series Ironheart. And in addition to him, the Marvel series has tapped Sam Bailey and Angela Barnes as director. This is all according to The Hollywood Reporter. Yeah, we don't know too much about what we're going to get in Ironheart other than the character is, I think, going to appear in Black Panther 2.
Correct. And I believe it's going to appear there first before the show. So I guess it makes some sense, as there would be a little bit more cross-pollination. Star Wars Ahsoka series lands Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse co-director, co-director Peter Ramsey is set to helm at least one episode of Star Wars series Ahsoka on Disney Plus, according to Hollywood Reporter. Ramsey was the first Black filmmaker to win Best Animated Feature award at the Oscars after Into the Spider-Verse took one home in 2019. He co-directed. Why I keep saying that? The movie with Bob Perschetti and Rodney Rothman, and he's on board for the sequels that are coming up. But before that, he's going to be a part of Ahsoka's Star Wars show, as at least a director of one show. So that's cool. Next,
you want to take this one?
Sure, I'll take it.
This one's way up your alley.
I'm sure you'll say that about the next few. Spock finally gets a first name in Star Trek canon, and is one fans may recognize. And so, yes, we know Spock's going to be in that Star Trek Strange New Worlds show that is coming up, which is basically, I guess, the prequel to TOS, with Christopher Pike captaining. And it sounds like the promotional material that came out during Star Trek Mission Chicago 2022 has revealed that Spock's canonical first name. I haven't actually looked at this for whatever reason, so I'm just going to say I will leave it to the fans, to the other fans, because I know it's probably going to be something that's going to make me upset. His name is Spock. That is it. Let it roll.
I thought you were going to try to say it. That's why I thought you were going to know how to say it. That's why I left it to you.
Actually, I get, like I said, I hadn't even looked at it because I was like, why did he even need a first name? So
that's
and I believe there was, if I'm not mistaken, there was a name already given to him, and I don't think this is it. So either way,
yeah, wasn't it like Green-Blooded Bastard or something like that, or
not that? No, that is McCoy's name for him.
That's what I'm saying.
Let's see. Wait, does it even say? It says, well, it says here that his full Vulcan name was considered unpronounceable to human, which that's canon. That's been said in the movies or whatever the case may be. And yeah, it does talk about the Marvel. Spock's full name is, yeah, I'm not trying that.
Yeah, okay. No, listen, like I said, I thought maybe you had some inside info on how to pronounce it, so
he's
I left. That's why I asked you to take this that particular story. I'll take the next one.
Right, he's partially named after his dad, Sarek, basically. But the first two names, I'm not doing that because I have no idea how to pronounce that. But yeah, next up.
All right, so this is spoilers for. Is this spoilers for this week's episode?
No. Just well, I guess in a way, the opening credits for I mean, no, last week's episode. This is a spoiler cover from last week's episode. And it's not really a spoiler.
I want to say I was up to date through last week, but my memory's a little hazy and it's late.
No,
it's late in the evening already. So
yeah, no, this was from last week.
Right. So oh, okay.
There is a spoiler for this week on the side, but so I don't know if you care about that.
Right. So there's a treat in because there's a a reveal of why there is a space shuttle looking craft in the opening credits for Star Trek Enterprise.
Mm-hmm.
And basically it's explained as being piloted by, I want to say it's being piloted by an ancestor of Jean-Luc Picard.
Yes, that is correct.
And that's the spoiler alert for anyone who didn't know.
Yeah, from last week.
I didn't say who the ancestor was, but it is in fact an ancestor.
Right. Well, if you're watching a video version, you can see, at the very least see the person, even if you don't know who that person is. But yes, that is definitely which if you already knew that, well, this season is taking place in the past. There's a Star Trek 4-ness about it. And it's doing a lot, like I said. So yeah, we don't necessarily need to go there. Even though it is last week's episode, we don't necessarily need to go into it. This next one, it was pretty cool to me. I saw this yesterday. Star Trek's TNG goes full 70s Trek cartoon in this fan video. So basically somebody made a clip of I believe this is when I can't remember the name of the episode, but when Picard gets taken by the Borg, but they basically did a almost filmation like a recreation of that scene right before Picard gets taken, even with the filmation music score that was behind it, and it was pretty well done. You should really take a look at it. If you are a fan of the Star Trek animated series, you will get a kick out of this. I would if they did more of this, it would be cool if they did. So that's all I will say.
Next up, thanks in part to our very own PCN_Dirt, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 won the box office and had the best opening weekend of any video game movie. So it won the domestic weekend box office with ticket sales of 71 million, and it also had the best opening weekend of any video game movie ever. As reported by Variety, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 surpassed the record of 58 million set by 2020 Sonic the Hedgehog. So the original opened during the President's Day weekend, and the sequel even beat the 4-day total of 70 million the first film had. Okay, good for you, Sonic. I know there is an entire generation of people that love to play Sonic. I never had a Sega, so I'm not one of them.
Oh man, I did. Yeah, I loved it. And as far as it being the best weekend of any video game movie ever, that's not really saying that much, because video game movies have been terrible and don't normally do that well. So this just happened to be one that's good. Actually, I think I know somebody that's watching it tonight. I'm not sure if they went to the theater or found some other means. So I'm gonna let Agent 70 take this next one, actually.
So the next Fast and Furious movie is getting some additional Oscar-winning talent. So Best Actress winner Brie Larson is joining the family for Fast and Furious 10, announced by Vin Diesel on his Instagram. A source with knowledge further confirmed news of Larson's casting. So Diesel says, "You have no idea how timeless and amazing she will be in our mythology, blah, 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 yakety schmackety. Welcome to the family, Brie." So my guess, she's probably a relative of Brian O'Connor.
Or that, or something to do with Cypher. Could also be the case.
Maybe. I feel like they needed they needed to restock the blonde people on the good guy side.
Maybe, yeah. Who knows?
That's just my gut. In terms of how I feel like they're going, because did you watch the most recent one?
Yes.
Fast 9?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
yeah.
so you're up to date. All right. So you know that Cypher's still around.
Yes, I know. Mm-hmm. Which is why I said that.
Right. So I have a feeling that she's not going to be on Cypher's side. That's too many blondes on one side. That's just me. That's just my my personal take on it.
I mean, it's legit. It's about as legit as anything else going on with this franchise. So yeah, ain't no telling. I said on Twitter a couple of days ago, prior to this this recording, like, how long will we before we see this gets mashed up into the MCU and the Avengers are drifting around in cars saving the day?
Well, everyone's talking about matching this up with Jurassic World, right?
Oh yeah, I have heard that also. Yeah. But So, and there is kind of precedent because there's those sponsored Marvel comics you know that have car sponsors in it, like the BMW one from I think that Black Panther did or whatever. I don't know, maybe I can't remember around Black Panther, but stuff like that happens. So I wouldn't be surprised if something like that actually happened. But now we're going to get into the anime corner. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Heroes Unite in Generation Spanning Anniversary. This may be a news we might have talked about, but I thought it was cool nonetheless. Basically, generations of JoJo's fam have been put together in art, including Jolene, the newest iteration of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. And you could see it at the official anniversary website. And the first art depicts the sixth central protagonists who have appeared in the anime adaptation so far. Like I said, going up to Jolene, which I'm not gotten up to yet. And there's another piece of art that's out there. And apparently there's an exhibit that will run from May 10th through August 9th at the Tokyo Sky Tree Landmark, I guess. So nowhere near the U.S. But if you're there, hey, send us a picture. But you can also see some of the art in this article if you can't get over there. Next up,
Netflix and Tsuburaya Productions posted the opening animation sequence without superimposed credits for the second anime season based on Eiichi Shimizu and Tomohiro Shimoguchi's Ultraman manga on this past Thursday. The creator unit Noi Lion performs the anime's opening theme song 3. The anime will debut on Netflix worldwide on April 14th. The new season's first episode will get an advanced screening at the Ultraman World Premiere and Orchestra Concert event on April 10th. So this is all past us already. So I have not watched the first season of this Ultraman anime. Have you?
I watched like the first couple of episodes, and I said I was going to come back to it. But yeah, it's all right. It's more, CG and that vein. It's all right. From what I've
more CG than actual like animated cells. I got you.
Yeah, it seems that way. Like there's definitely a mix, but it seems like it feels like it's going towards more CG than obviously there's more blendings nowadays of CG, but this one seems more noticeable.
Got it. Okay, I'll take a look at it.
Yeah, it's all right.
It's on Netflix, so might as well.
Mm-hmm. Next up, new City Hunter film announced to celebrate TV anime's 35th anniversary in 2022. So the official Twitter account and homepage for City Hunter movie franchise has been updated with the news that a new movie will be produced to celebrate the anniversary. The announcement was made on April 8th in Japan, which is also the premiere date for the first episode of the first season of the City Hunter TV anime back in 1987. The most recent film before this announcement was Shinjuku Private Eyes, which was released in 2019. Let's see. In addition to the announcement, a new teaser trailer was been released for the new film project, and the theme song or the ending theme song "Get Wild" by TM Network, and the return of voice actors, with more details expected to come later this year. I don't know if you ever watched City Hunter.
Nope.
Yeah, from what I remember, there's a couple of episodes I remember seeing. This seems all right. I'm sure there are fans out there. Next up.
The first episode of the television anime of Tetsuya Endo's Spy X Family manga earned a 3.1% rating when it premiered on this past Saturday, at 11 p.m. Japanese Standard Time. In addition, the term spy_family, Anya, Your Son, and Lloyd, the three main characters for the anime, trended on Twitter in Japan when the episode aired. So Crunchyroll is streaming the anime.
It is. Yeah, I before the anime aired, I read the first. You can basically read the first 3 chapters for free on Shonen Jump, and I did that, and it pretty much follows the beat of the first volume at the very least. or his first volume and a half. So yeah, it's pretty faithful. And yeah, that 3.1 rating apparently is actually pretty good for an anime, from what I'm understanding. Speaking of Spy Family news, the English cast for the dub has been revealed. In fact, the dub version of the first episode has now premiered as of this recording a couple of days ago, on this past Tuesday. So hey, you don't have to worry about what the cast is because now you can go check it out yourself. But it's people you probably know. I've already watched it in subtitles. I may check it out in dub, but I'm probably going to stick to the subs when it comes out. Next up.
Right. So, in a bit of a disappointment here, Toei announced that Dragon Ball Superhero, the second anime film in the Dragon Ball Super franchise, has been rescheduled for June 11th. It's been delayed due to the Toei Animation hack last month. Toei added that the entire staff is putting all their effort into meeting the new release date. The film was originally slated to open in Japan on April 22nd and then was slated to open in North America this summer. The CG film's release schedule may differ depending on each country and region. So, yeah, that's pretty tough news to bear, and just having to wait a little longer to see what is going on in this latest installment for Dragon Ball Super.
Yep. And before we go into the comic book news, but still kind of staying in the anime corner, I know I talked to Agent 7 about this, and I'll keep this like very brief, but I just wanted to remind folks that I believe that Aoashi is the one, which is basically the soccer is kind of a soccer version of Haikyuu. Has also debuted this past week. If anybody's curious about that, it's made by the same people, is why I say that. And Spy Time's Family and a couple other anime that is notable to me, but I won't go into all of that. So I don't know what, if anything, Agent 7 has been watching lately, anime wise.
I mean, I'm still struggling to finish to get through Fire Force. I haven't watched. You know, my first instinct is when I want to watch something anime, I'll pull up Haikyuu. I'll just rewatch parts of it just because it's fun.
Sure.
So,
I got you. Yeah, one of these days I get to that point to watching it. So yeah, but yeah, going into comic book news.
Alrighty, so I'm gonna transition, even though we're still kind of in, anime manga news. I don't know if I need a special manga sound for this, but hold on. So this is spoilers for chapter 350 of My Hero Academia that was released this past week. So if you are not up to date, you definitely need to mute me or fast forward through this show, because this is actually some pretty telling stuff that came out in this most recent issue of this most recent chapter of My Hero Academia's manga. So, and I agree with a little bit of the commentary here in this article, in that My Hero Academia is ironically telling some of its most interesting villain stories as we approach the end of the series. So this is the big final war arc, and the series talks about how one character becomes the flaming psychopath Dabi, who is basically one of the main henchmen of whatchamacallit, All for One. So I'll leave it at that. There's not much. There's a lot here in this article that is spoilerific, and if you're not far along enough in the anime or the manga, it's not worth spoiling it for you. But I am up to date on the manga, so I know what's going on.
Nice. Apparently there was a Moon Knight manga, but I'm gonna have to read up on that because there's an article on the site about it. But speaking of Moon Knight, as we transition completely into comic book news, Avengers Campus's Mr. Knight fan video interaction is perfect down to the English accent. So apparently Mr. Knight has made its way to Avengers Campus, which is on what is it, Disney World, Disneyland. It's at the Disney parks, regardless.
I want to say Disney World. It's in I think it's in Cali.
It says here Disneyland. Yeah, well, it said
Oh no, Disneyland is in Cali.
Yeah, California. I get them mixed up too. So because it was like World and Land is real. Yeah, but yeah, Disneyland Resorts, Disney California Adventure Park, and that's where Avengers Campus is. Which I thought they had one in World, but I guess not. Got to go all the way to California for that. Crazy. But yeah, so yeah, Mr. Mike can be seen walking around, found after dark, of course, dressed in a suit, and apparently somebody took a short video and put it on YouTube. It captured Mr. Knight in action as he greeted fans on the campus, and even had the English accent and had a little short conversation with them. And it kind of goes into that. And I guess there's even a video of it attached to this article if you want to see that interaction. So that's kind of cool. Next up.
I was just looking at the G.I. Joe Silent Interlude 30th anniversary. I was like, wait, this is published in 2014. It hasn't been 10 years since then. What's going on? Some comic book math, damn it.
Pretty much.
All right, next up, Moon Girl joins the Avengers in the Avengers and Moon Girl. So this July, Mohali Moshigo and Diogenes Neves will continue Moon Girl's adventures in the Avengers and Moon Girl #1. So there is no current Moon Girl series, so we're going to get a couple of one-shots coming out this year. So in June, we're going to have Miles Morales and Moon Girl #1, and then in July, we're going to have Avengers and Moon Girl #1. It is going to be on sale July 13th with a cover price of, don't know, doesn't say.
Probably $3.99 or $4.99 if they're doing an extra thing, but yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say one shots tend to be $4.99.
Yeah, so more likely than not. Wolverine, Venom, and Moon Knight co-star in Miss Marvel's new series. So yeah, apparently Miss Marvel's gonna get a new series that launches in July. And she's going to fight along the heroes that I've mentioned. The series kicks off with Miss Marvel and Wolverine. Oh, it sounds like it's a series of one shots. So basically, it's one of those. I guess like that Spider-Man thing from a couple of years back, where you, I think that was Spider-Man. Yeah, where you kind of teamed up with other folks on team ups, but it's all one adventure. But anyway, the series kicks off with Miss Marvel and Wolverine #1 by Jody Hauser and Zay Carlos. The cover art shows Cyclops, Marvel Girl, Storm, and others, with Miss Marvel going into battle. And there's a synopsis here that I won't necessarily go far into, but basically, hey, Miss Marvel and Wolverine starting off, and I guess it's going to be bleeding over to Moon Knight and Venom after this particular one shot. So, but yeah, that issue goes on sale July 13th. Cool.
There's some interesting notes there's some interesting parts of the interview later on in the article that talk about how teaming Miss Marvel up with some of the darker heroes of the 616 shows just how bright Miss Marvel's light really is, and that's the contrast that they're looking for.
Right.
Because you wouldn't think that these characters would be, other than Wolverine, because Wolverine teams up with everybody.
Well, and he's also shown up in Miss Marvel previously.
Right. So at the end of the day, you wouldn't think that Venom and Moon Knight would appear alongside Miss Marvel, but there's a reason why they are telling these particular stories.
Right. I'm curious about it, so we'll let y'all know when it happens. But next up,
Marvel's prehistoric Avengers star in a story revealing Thor's quote-unquote true origin story. I'm not a fan of this. Avengers 1 million BC #1 comes from writer Jason Aaron and artist Kev Walker, with cover art by Ed McGuinness and variant cover art by Alex Horley. The issue, which releases in July, is set in the earliest days of the Marvel Universe and features the Avengers 1 million BC team that has been previously introduced in Aaron's Avengers run. So we're going to talk about the true story of Thor's birth in this issue. I mean, yeah, you know what? It's the comics. It's not mythology. The mythology tells one story that the comics basically aped and parroted, but they want to change it up just a little bit. So, we'll see how it goes. I'm not a fan of this particular revelation. We'll see how long this story lasts.
Yeah. Let's see. Marvel announces All Out Avengers series. Actually, and it just gave me a reminder for something to do after the show. I mean, right after we finish the news. So yeah. There's a new teaser for an Avengers series. And I knew this was the case, and I didn't want it to be, but basically it sounds like All Out Avengers, which is the name of the series, appears to be in the same vein as Nonstop Spider-Man. Oh wait, is he actually doing this one also? So yeah, All Out Avengers appears to be in the same vein by Nonstop Avengers by Joe Kelly, Dale Eaglesham, Geraldo Sandoval, and Chris Bacalo. Kelly previously described the series as a relentless action, epic storytelling, mind-melting art, and relevant themes, all grounded by the heart and soul of one of my old favorites. That's the Spider-Man one, I guess. There's teaser art for the cover of All Out Avengers #1 by Agent 70's favorite Greg Land. And
see, that's why this is the book that I can safely ignore. All you need to say are 4 words: art by Greg Land, and I'm out.
Well, but I think it's the cover. He's not doing the inside though.
No, it says art by Greg Land.
Is he doing? Oh yeah. Oh, written by Derek Landy and art by Greg Land. Yeah, inks by Jay Listing. Okay. Well,
I'm out.
Love it. So yeah, so there's teaser out and the cover art out there for it, and it looks like the team is Captain America, She-Hulk, Black Panther, Spider-Man, and Spider-Woman. And it goes on to say the creative team have worked together on some other stuff, and yeah, so this is going to be coming out September 2022, which I don't think we got solicitors out for yet, but probably forthcoming very shortly. Next
yeah,
up.
very soon. Very, very soon. Okay. All right. All right. So Marvel releases Sam Wilson's Captain America trailer. So we've got a trailer for Captain America Symbol of Truth #1. So Marvel is relaunching Captain America with 2 series, one starring Steve Rogers and the other starring the former Falcon, Sam Wilson. So Captain America Symbol of Truth is Sam Wilson's book, while Steve Rogers has Captain America Sentinel of Liberty. And so you have here this trailer for the Sam Wilson Captain America book.
And apparently they still got Red Wing's name wrong in this article, because it's Red Wing Tim. I don't know if that's just, shout out to Tim. He wrote this, but I don't know if that was a typo on his part or whatever the case may be. But it's Red Wing, not Red Bird.
Ah!
I'm just saying.
Shots fired.
I'm just saying. I didn't realize that Tim had wrote this into the. I might have to reach out to him and know about this typo.
That's fine.
Next up, though, Marvel's. Well, okay, this is spoiler alert from last week. I think we kind of already talked about it, but we didn't necessarily talk about this particular part. So a Netflix hero is the new mayor of New York City. It's Luke Cage, apparently, after the events of Devil's Reign #6, which ended last week. Right. So spoilers for that.
Right. I did not spoil it last week, but it is now a week later.
Right. So, and that was the thing I said I was kind of curious about, because I was and I still hadn't read Devil's Reign at this point yet, but I don't know whether it is what it is. I get to it. Next up, though.
So in news that makes very little sense, because it is not the scale of power that this character is normally on. Kraven the Hunter takes aim at X-Force in a tie-in to Marvel's Judgment Day event series. Coming along for the ride is Deadpool. According to Newsarama, July's X-Force #30 by writer Benjamin Percy and artist Robert Gill begins a new story arc, The Hunt for X, which ties into the Avengers X-Men Eternals crossover, AXE Judgment Day, or Axe. They could call it just body spray. Deadpool is no stranger to X-Force, with the team needing reinforcements after dealing with the fallout from the 2nd annual Hellfire Gala and the start of Judgment Day. Okay. So yeah, Kraven the Hunter. Seriously?
I'm sure,
he's a little out of his depth against X-Force, but what are you going to do?
I mean, he's a prepared dude. I'm sure he will have time to study. You can write anybody any kind of way, and they'll come out on top, as you well know.
Prep time, gotta
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah. Like I said, it's all up to whoever writing them. But yeah. By the way, yes, that was a triplicate of Tim's stories, but that was not on purpose. I'm just saying that
He's a busy guy.
Yeah, and that just so happens to be what I pulled. Anyway, dig into Untold Star Wars Adventures in the first look at Marvel's new Obi-Wan Kenobi comic book. So of course, there's a comic book that's coming prior to the Obi-Wan Kenobi Disney Plus series. Let's see. It says this May is going to get that's where the Disney Plus show is coming. There's going to be a 5-issue miniseries written by Christopher Cantwell, which is his first non-armored character, I think. That's which is kind of funny. Called Star Wars Obi-Wan, and a series of artists beginning with Ario and then Dito, which launches on Star Wars Day, May 4th. So yeah. Unlike the newer live-action series, which focus on a very, very particular time and place in Kenobi's life, Marvel's Obi-Wan has the freedom to span Obi-Wan's entire Jedi career, beginning from his time as a youngling at the Jedi Temple before he met Qui-Gon Jinn, and each issue will cover a different adventure from a different time period in Kenobi's life. So I guess starting from when he was a little one. So there you go. And if you're watching the video version, you can see the cover art for it, which looks pretty good. I thought it was Noto doing his art, but apparently not. Look good. Anyway, next up,
Marvel celebrates Loki's Thanos Easter egg with a special new toy. This is actually kind of cool, and I didn't know that this actually existed previously, in toy form. So something that appeared in the Loki show was, in fact, something that was canon in the comics, at least, that being the Thanos copter. So there is a new Hot Wheels toy from Mattel that brings the Thanos copter to life. And as a reminder, the vehicle made its appearance in the Loki show's 5th episode at the end of time, being a remnant of Alioth's destruction. The Hot Wheels toy here was actually originally a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive that originally came with a miniature Thanos, but is now being re-released with the Loki name on it as a slightly different variant, which is, of course, fitting when it comes to Loki merchandise. So that's pretty interesting. I don't know if I'd get this, but it's cool that it's there, that it's out.
Yeah, I thought I have recently saw this in the stores, and I'm not sure if that's true or maybe it's a figment of imagination. But yeah, it's cool that it's out there, because I know I've seen Marvel-inspired Hot Wheels vehicles out there. I'm not sure about this one. That I almost pick up, but I resist. Speaking of figures, Hasbro has announced Marvel Legends figures of all 3 Spider-Men from No Way Home. So yeah, we're getting even more Spider-Man figures, Marvel Legends figures. Yay! It says on Twitter, Hasbro Pulse showed a promotional image showing Tom Holland, Tobey Maguire, and Andrew Garfield's versions of Spider-Man in No Way Home to announce upcoming Marvel Legends figures. So yeah, they didn't provide any specific details about the figures outside of the fact that they'll come out at some point in 2023. But nothing's more specific than that. And I guess while we're here, I am holding up for the video version my copy of Spider-Man No Way Home, the Blu-ray, because I got that in the mail. So yay!
Thanks. I haven't picked mine up yet, but I will eventually.
Yeah, but it's out there, folks.
I'll tell you something funny, and it's reminiscent of a little bit of the Baby Yoda stuff.
Okay.
So remember when The Mandalorian came out and Baby Yoda was revealed at the end of the first episode, and everyone wanted a Baby Yoda toy, and Hasbro seemingly had dropped the ball. But there's a good reason why they didn't, because they didn't want to have, well, one, they probably didn't anticipate the demand for it, and two, they probably didn't want to have any spoilers leaking out there. So it makes sense that, even though it was probably one of the worst kept secrets because of trailers that made their way around the internet, and edits that were just kind of obvious. The lizard getting punched by an unknown force, right? Being one of them. Even though it was kind of like a poorly guarded secret, that all three cinematic Spider-Men would be on the screen at the same time, it does make sense that they wouldn't produce toys ahead of time, because we've seen even in recent, even with regards to like upcoming movies like Thor, Love and Thunder, that toys are in production well ahead of the movie's release, and that particular spoiler of the three Spider-Men would have been out there right away, and we would have seen exactly what they might look like. Even though we're familiar with what they look like, it's not like they changed the image, the costumes any, but it makes sense that they wouldn't have that right away, and they would wait until the movie was out before putting those figures out.
Right. Yeah. And as far as the Baby Yoda thing is, I suspect part of it, and I think probably talked about this in the past, they didn't know Baby Yoda was going to be that big as it ended up being. So that was also part of it. But yeah, and
those... I mentioned. Yeah, I was about to say I mentioned that, but at the same time, the cute factor is what it is, right?
Right.
So, but with regards to the Spider-Man thing, it's as an action figure collector, I had been out of the game for the Tobey Spider-Man, right? Like I wasn't interested in those toys. Mm-hmm. I believe I got the Amazing Spider-Man Marvel Legend because at that point Marvel Legends has come out.
Oh,
they had already started doing They had already started doing Marvel Legends figures, by Hasbro, not by Toy Biz.
Right.
When Amazing Spider-Man came out, so I do have an Amazing Spider-Man of I have the Andrew Garfield Amazing Spider-Man, that is Marvel Legend. But for everyone that wanted a Tobey version in like quality Marvel Legends style, I think the wait should be worth it.
Right. For those watching the video version saw me holding up my Baby Yoda little figure, that's about as good as they did at the time. They've gotten since better. That little trinket that I was holding up was nothing, and that's why it's still in the box. But also, do you find yourself getting any of these figures? In these Spider-Man figures?
Oh, you mean the set of 3?
Right.
I might. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Gotcha. Going on into other toy/game business.
Yeah, I've got this one. This is my story.
Oh.
My turn. We talked about,
I was going to take it from you because,
when it's sometimes better when we stick to taking turns because we have to read some of the less fun stories. My Little Pony's tabletop role-playing game is on the way, full of magical adventures. So there is an official My Little Pony tabletop role-playing game in development by Renegade Game Studios, not by Jay-Z and Eminem. And it may be the only tabletop RPG where players can lovingly craft their own cutie marks. Players can create their own custom pony characters and set out to solve problems in the realms of Equestria and beyond. The RPG will come with a line of accessories so players can collect adventure books, adventure and Game Master screens, a dice set, dice bag, and character journal. Let's see here. So these are the My Little Pony role-playing game and the deluxe core rulebook are both currently available to pre-order, and the books and accessories are expected to be released later in 2022. The pre-orders come with a PDF of the rulebook at no additional cost for players to peruse. So if I click on this pre-order link, I'll probably be able to get some pricing.
At this point, yeah, because this article is a few weeks old.
All right, so I just clicked on it, and the dice bag is $15. The role-playing game core rulebook is $55.
Standard.
And the deck building game pre-order is $45. Also the character standard. Journal is $21.99, and yeah. I mean, those rule books are hardcover, and they're pretty nicely put together. So that's pretty much a $55 book.
Yeah.
It used to, those books used to be $49.99, but inflation and rising paper costs. So
or the paperback used to be a little bit cheaper, like 30-ish, something like that. So I'm trying to remember when I got my second edition for, but that was many moons ago.
Right.
Anywho, next up though, speaking of RPGs, Blade Runner Tabletop RPG debuts a stunning early preview. So yeah, there's a Blade Runner role-playing game that is out there. That is, I guess, official at this point. Not people's doing this, because I know there's probably has been. There was a crowdfunding set up with Kickstarter. Oh wait, I'm sorry. That is going to start on May 3rd. As a part of the announcement, the developer of the Blade Runner RPG released artwork and a full 3-page spread of the core rulebook. And the artwork is in the article below, which actually looks not bad. So yeah, if you're looking for an official Blade Runner RPG and like Netrunner or something along those lines, there's one coming. You just gotta, kick in for it. There's no price for it because, like I said, the Kickstarter hadn't started yet. So that'll be out there soon. Next up.
Some classic characters from the 1980s Dungeons and Dragons cartoon are coming to the D&D strategy video game Idle Champions of the Forgotten Realms. According to IGN, with the release of the 100th champion imminent, developer Codename Entertainment is planning to celebrate by including the Dungeon Master from the 1983 Dungeons and Dragons cartoon. While Dungeon Master is the only character from the animation that will become a champion in the game so far, 2 other characters will join Idle Champions as villains. Venger, the primary antagonist of the original show, and Tiamat, the legendary goddess from Dungeons and Dragons, will try to impede players' progress. Okay.
I believe it's pronounced Avenger. Thank you very much. I don't know, before somebody say something stupid like that. But yeah. So yeah, this is an idle game. This is a clicker. It is what it is. I wish I had gotten out my set that I got from Marvel. I mean, not Marvel, from Magic the Gathering. That is also in line with the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon. Because it is basically cards with the characters on it. I don't know if Dungeon Magic's on there. Probably wouldn't be, but yeah, it's a clicker game. If you know about that one, it's out there for you folks. There you go. And it's free, so you're not missing anything but time. Hey, here's something for me. Which actually I got a package coming hopefully sometime soon. Transformers debuts Wild Rider Blitzwing Legacy figures. So Wild Rider and Blitzwing are officially set to join the Transformers Legacy line of action figures later this year. Hasbro has provided CBR with an exclusive first look. So yeah, I did not have Blitzwing growing up. I had Astro Train. Oh boy, I wish I still did. Wild Rider, which I don't know of, is going to be $24.99, and Blitzwing is going to be $55.99. If you didn't know, Blitzwing is the triple changer. It's a tank and a jet, and it was great, but I didn't get them. Both figures are due to release just July, and will be available for pre-orders on Hasbro Pulse. Actually, they already are at this point. April 12th, which they already are, and I already saw a listing at Big Bad Toys, which I may actually do. Here me scrolling through the pictures of them at this point. And there you go. Next.
So in some really crazy cool but very expensive news, like I saw this and I'm glad that I saw the story. I'm glad that Roddy Cap pulled it. Robo sends Optimus Prime automatically transforming robot gets an automatically converting trailer as well. So you can turn the $900 auto transforming Optimus Prime into an even more formidable toy for another $750.
Ridiculous.
So, you can get this companion trailer and roller set for Optimus Prime with its equally cool auto conversion features. So this is based on the G1 design, and the trailer measures an impressive 3 feet in length, fully extended. Using RoboSense robotics, it automatically unfolds and tilts vertically into a nearly flat rectangular shield, complete with an integrated articulating Sentry blaster. In truck mode, it houses the roller vehicle and human sidekick Spike, who's ready to jump into action or enjoy the ride. The blaster can also be mounted for further firepower and support, according to RoboSen. So there is a YouTube video that details how the trailer transforms. It is a very, very impressive looking toy. Deliveries will not start until November of 2022. The package includes a protective storage case with handle for easy transportation, along with a collectible pack including an individualized serial number, Autobot magnetic car badge, that is, metal challenge coin, and sticker pack. Yeah, this is expensive, but damn if this isn't something we all wanted as a kid.
I know, right? And we talked about this when just the Optimus Victor came out. Wait, did you see this on Fatman Beyond or whatever?
No, they didn't have this. I mean,
okay.
they haven't recorded an episode this week. It's probably because of the holidays.
Gotcha. But yeah, I saw this article and I was like, son of a biscuit. And apparently there's going to be a package where there's going to be Optimus and the trailer for like $1,500. That's a lot of money. But as Agent 7 said, it's cool as hell. I would love.
Yeah, I mean, according to this article, it says that deal might already be gone.
Right. Yeah, because I believe, because everybody who got the original Optimus probably already got it and probably jumped on this when they saw it. So, so the only things left, if it's anything at all, is the $1,500 price. But like you said, that might also be gone at this point.
Right. I mean, listen, I'm a G1 guy through and through. I love the Transformers, but I'm probably just that much more of a Marvel guy. So it's not like I'm fiending for this. But I definitely understand people who are like G1 enthusiasts, like, you know, they would absolutely jump on this. And we're of the age where, you know, even though this is a lot of money, you might actually have a little bit of disposable income.
I do not. So I will not.
Well, no, I said we might actually. I didn't say we do.
Well, right. Yeah, would be of the age to have that kind of disposable money. I got you.
Exactly.
But that's a lot of freaking money. Either way, it's still cool as fuck. Next up, though, this is me. DC gives Batman an all-new logo. So yeah, they changed Batman's logo. I guess this is it right here. I don't know what difference is. I actually don't care. Oh, I guess they don't have the bat shadow in the back of it anymore, or they do. I don't know. But hey, he's got a new icon. There you go, Bat fans. Next up.
Hold on.
What's up?
Oh, you're talking about the title logo. Right. Oh, yeah.
Right.
I thought you were talking about his chest logo.
No.
That's lame.
Yeah.
All right. Ram V, Raphael Albuquerque, and Dave Stewart are taking over Detective Comics in July. So we're getting another new creative team. So there's been a little bit of turnover in the relatively recent past with regards to Detective Comics. And this team is going to have a 4-part story up front first called Gotham Nocturne, and it finds Batman embroiled in a music-themed mystery. There will be backup stories in this book written by Cy Spurrier, and the first one is going to be illustrated by Danny, following Jim Gordon on his return to Gotham as a private investigator. So, all right, you know, if you're trying to keep up with Detective as opposed to what's kind of become the main Batman book, where, you know, Detective stopped being the main Batman book a while ago,
right?
But ultimately, you know, if you're trying to maintain your run of Detective Comics, then, you know, feel free to jump in on this.
Right. Also, I was like, wait, illustrated by Danny. I was like, well, shout out to Darkwing Duck on Twitter, but I don't think it's her. Or definitely not Danny Moonstar either. So yeah. Anyway, Nightwing and Deathstroke have a brutal showdown in Dark Crisis preview. So there's a 2-page spread for the second issue of DC's Dark Crisis event. It's going to be 7 issues. It's following the Justice League 75, aka the Death of the Justice League. And yeah, there was Joshua Williamson took to Twitter to preview give a preview of a fight between Deathstroke and Nightwing, and you can see it right there if you're watching the video version of this here program. And you should sometimes. Next up.
DC reveals the 4 finalists of its 2022 round robin comic book tournament, with the third round of voting set to begin in 1 week. It's a little less than a week now.
Right.
DC revealed the updated bracket for its 2022 round robin tournament heading into round 3. The final 4 titles of this year's round robin tournament are Constantine and the Demon, Vacation from Hell by Frank Allen and Nick Varela, Suicide Squad Dark by Zach Thompson and Gary Brown, Green Lantern The Light at the End of Forever by Cy Spurrier and Marco Santucci, and Superboy The Man of Tomorrow by Kenny Porter and Janoy Lindsay. Okay.
I saw one of the creators trying to make a run for their book. That's Miss T. Franklin, and sadly, it looks like they didn't make it to the final 4, which is sad. But it's kind of hard to beat out a Green Lantern book, I guess, except for unless you're Superboy. So yeah, that's a thing. Next up, though, DC's Pride 2022 one-shot adds story from the OG, Kevin Conroy and J-Bone. That's right, folks. Kevin Conroy, the voice of Batman, the animated series. Some would say the voice of Batman, just in general. Is writing a story called Finding Batman, which is described as a personal story with art from Bone, from DCU Super Friends, and letters by Aditya Bidikar from Bloodborne, I guess. I didn't know there was a Bloodborne book, but okay, sure. There's a 104-page prestige format issue book, which is the DC Pride issue one shot. And this article also goes into listing the other stories and creative teams involved with this. Like, I didn't know Conroy wrote. So apparently, this is a lot of people finding out that he's out as gay, and has been for
I didn't know that either.
Time. Yeah. For
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Not that it matters. It was
no,
not.
It does. Well,
not, no.
Some people I'm sure it will, but yeah, definitely not here. So,
I didn't know that. I was just like, why is he writing this? Oh, it was one of those realizations.
Right. Yeah, I feel like I knew at some point, but yeah, I don't know. Check it out. That's all I'll say. I'm actually kind of curious, to be honest, because, like I said, I didn't know he wrote any at all. So I'm kind of curious to see what that story is going to be. Next up, though. So actually, no, it's already done now, but the crowdfunding campaign to support Ronald Wimberly's Gratuitous Ninja, abbreviated as Gratnin, as a physical release, has just wrapped up. It's published in a 400-foot accordion folded format, and Gratnin is comics as an art object. So this was originally published as a webcomic designed for Infinite Scroll. The story was a challenge, apparently, to them to bring to life on paper in a cool, meaningful way. So it has over 85,000 raised in pre-orders. That cool creative package is going to become a reality. So let's see here. So both Wimberly and writer Kelly Sue DeConnick talked about Gratnin and the process behind it, and about comics, pop culture, and their philosophies on art in general. And you can follow the webpage that Roddy Cat is showing you and play the third part, or part 2 of the conversation with comicbook.com on this website. Mm-hmm. Charlemagne the God launches a comic book and graphic novel lines with Kevin Grevio. Which, did we have him on the show?
No, but I know who Kevin Grevio is.
Right. So yeah. So for those who don't know, Charlemagne the God started out local here to me, which is funny. Radio host, author, media mogul. Kind of an asshole, but we're not gonna talk about that.
Yeah.
Teaming up with actor, director, and comics writer Kevin Grevio to develop original superhero properties as comic series and graphic novels. The first project will be Darkstorm, written by Grevio, with art by Ken Lashley, an original graphic novel series featuring a reluctant black superhero who struggles with PTSD. The graphic novel will be published by Charlemagne's Simon & Schuster imprint, Black Privilege Publishing. There's also another book which is going to be from AWA Studios, which will be The Vindicators and will star a diverse team of superheroes living in a dystopian future. So, good on Charlemagne and Kevin Greville, I guess. Yeah, no, not really big fan of Charlemagne, but yeah, good on Kevin Greville. Next up.
Yeah, I've been listening to the morning radio here in the city for a while, so
yeah,
if it's not the news, I'm like, yeah. So, all right. Last but not least, in Doctor Who news, of course, Doctor Who reveals spin-off podcast series were featuring the 13th Doctor. The first ever Doctor Who podcast story, Doctor Who Redacted, featuring Jodie Whittaker, announces its debut episode's release date and premise. Jodie Whittaker might only have a few Doctor Who episodes left before she regenerates, but the 13th Doctor is about to receive even more adventures in podcast form. The official Doctor Who website announced that episode 1 of a 10-part podcast series called Doctor Who Redacted will drop on April 17th. That's just a few days from this recording, the same day as the 2022 special episode Legend of the Sea Devils. Instead of being directly Doctor-centric, Redacted follows 3 broke university dropouts and podcast co-host Cleo Proctor, played by Charlie Craggs, Abby McPhail, played by Lois Chimimba, and Shauna Thompson, played by Holly Quinn Ankra, whose series The Blue Box Files analyzes the reoccurrence of a mysterious object, i.e. the Doctor's TARDIS, throughout historical records. However, Cleo, Abby, and Shauna soon become the universe's best chance at survival, thanks ironically to poor viewership numbers. After getting caught in a supernatural conspiracy as they learn that everyone who's ever met the Doctor is disappearing and being forgotten. Okay, that's got to mean something to Doctor Who people.
It does. Especially if you're caught up on Jodie Whittaker's Doctor. So, yeah. And that's it for the news, folks. Before we end, I want to show something really, really quick, if I can. In, I guess, it's Toy Corner. I don't know if you can see this because my stupid background in my room is a mess, so I'm not turning off my virtual background. But basically, I have in my hands Transformers deck building game. I said I was going to get it. I absolutely deserve to get it. I haven't opened it up yet, but yep, I got the box. I'm going to open it up at some point. I keep saying that and probably won't. But hey, I'm looking forward to trying it out. I think it's like 1 to 4 players and it's good stuff. And I'm a card-based game sucker. So, and hey, I like Transformers. It works in both ways for me. And that, folks, is that for the news. And we got one last ad read.
Our last ad read of the night is for Wink, your personalized wine club. Wink is a world of wine delivered right to your door. From rosé to Cabernet to Torrontés, Wink has over 100 styles of wine to discover. It's springtime. Have you ever tried an orange wine? Wink connects you to a world of exclusive wines tailored to your taste and delivered directly to your door. Wink delivers 4 bottles of wine to you every month with free shipping. You can pick your own bottles or let Wink choose and match to your taste. It doesn't cost a thing to become a member, and you can skip or cancel anytime. And now the listeners of the Comic Book Chronicles can enjoy an exclusive discount of $20 off your first order. To place your first order with $20 off and to help keep our show free for you, go to our network website at cspn.us/wink. That's cspn.us/WINC. Wink wines through CSPN. Do it today.
And I am very much going to try some orange wine because every time I hear that doggone, we were talking about this before the show also. I still have not. It might not be through Wink, but I'm definitely going to try some orange wine at some point because I really need to know what the hell that is. Anyway, this is the end of the show, folks. Yeah, I don't think we have anything else pressing. We don't have a movie protocol or anything coming up.
Yeah, not right away.
Yeah, we definitely
not
when Doctor Strange comes, but that's still a few weeks away.
Right. The only thing that, I mean, we're right in the middle of Holy Week now. So for anyone, and there's a bunch of concurrent holidays going on right now too, because Passover is about to start. So, just, happy holidays to everyone. Hope you have an easy Holy Week. For us, Good Friday's already started, and this weekend is Easter. So a little bit of premature, but happy Easter to everyone.
Yeah, indeed. Good. I mean, by the time the audio version of this comes out, it'll probably be after Easter. So probably well after Easter, the way things have been going. But hopefully, either way, this has been the Comic Book Chronicles. I am your host, Radicat, or I am one of your hosts, Radicat, rather. You can find me at Radicat on Twitter. You can find me at News Need on Twitter. You can find me at CBCaps on Instagram. Agent_70 on Twitter and Instagram. PCN_dirt on Twitter, Pop Culture Net on Twitter, popculturenetwork.com is all those umbrella sites therein. And apparently, recording artist dirt, as we recently found out.
Seriously, you need to look up dirt on Spotify.
Maybe we'll put a link in it because that's a pretty generic term, but maybe we'll put a link in if you're in the show notes for that.
Yeah, at least under artist name, it's probably not that generic.
Maybe. We'll see. But yeah, check them out for all those places. Tim TOGG98 on Twitter, CB Chron on Twitter, which is the Comic Book Chronicles Twitter account. VClick Nation on Twitter, theclicknation.com. And also over, as you've seen through the course of this show, over at comicbook.com, writing his face off.
Absolutely writing his face off.
So shout outs to the man, Tim. But yeah, you can find this here podcast on the Coastal Podcast Network. That's CSPN.us.
Do it today.
You can also find us on your podcast place of choice, whether it be Google Play, Apple iTunes, aka Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the Coastal Podcast Network's SoundCloud page. Recording every Thursday night, 9:30-ish p.m. on the YouTube channel of The Click Nation. That's youtube.com/TheClickNation. And also twitch.tv/Comic Book Chronicles. So yeah, we'll be back next week, folks. More goodness, more Moon Knight, more books, more shenanigans. Maybe another piece of Toy Corner if my package comes in. I'm very excited for that one, actually, because I know what's coming. And with that, folks, this has been the Comic Book Chronicles. Happy Easter. Peace.
Peace. One.
My time is up. Peace out to Brooklyn.